Hey, stop that cat. Errol Spence proves his star power. Big fish, man down, stop that cat. New survey comes out and says Errol Spence is number one. Find out what he's number one at in this here video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, etc. We working. Hey, Errol Spence, big fish, man down. Errol Spence, Fox just put out this survey, and you guys see it on the screen. Most favorited boxers on the Fox Sports app. Now, keep in mind, Fox is big business. Fox, it's a multimedia company that has things outside of just sports, like news, etc. So I would imagine this is a good look for PBC, and I would imagine they have a good amount of data to run this type of survey. And Errol Spence, you guys see, came in at number one of the most favorited boxers that, according to the app. I don't know exactly what they use to decipher this and tabulate and calculate, but, this is not shocking. Errol Spence Jr., Mr. Man Down, you got to look at it. He has a true, almost an underdog story. Not in terms of if you know his pedigree, he's about that life, Olympian, and, he was touted. There's a lot of rumors about what happened with him and Floyd and sparring, et cetera, et cetera. But he made a decision on one fateful night, and it almost claimed his life with the car accident. And, that's now part of his journey, part of his story. So a lot of people having that near-death experience, you see the rise and potential what could have been a fall, and you have to see the perseverance. So to me, that kind of put him in the realm of an underdog, not skillfully, but people had so many questions. So, that just helped the urban legend. And to see him topple Danny Garcia and beat Danny Garcia convincingly in such a fashion was very impressive to me, because Danny Garcia is somebody I rate. You see, Danny Garcia came in at number 2, and most likely this is because they had a big fight. So Danny and Errol were fighting. So based on the content, Fox app probably looked at the viewership and trends, and these are the guys that got the most traction. So I'm assuming it's because of the Spence Jr. Garcia build up and stuff, and they looked at all the analytics, and these were the fighters that had the most clicks, right? And that's the rounding off the list is Deontay the Braun Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, ex-WBC champion of the world. Oh my God, right? And in at number 4, Gervonta Davis, and then Manny Pacquiao at number 5. So that's a hell of a top 5. It shows you the star power that PBC has. Everybody in that top 5 is, a known commodity, making great money. And just behind that, you have Jermall Charlo, number 6, Jermell Charlo, number 7, and they fought on a card, a twin card too. This one was on Showtime, but it still shows you the cross promotion. They're still getting a lot of traction even on Fox's app. Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, and Leo Santa Cruz in at number 10. So congratulations to Errol Spence. It says these are the 10 most favorited PBC boxers on the new Fox Sports app. Download for the latest, so make sure you guys download. I think they even put the information right there. Let me give it a click-see. Okay, make sure you guys smash the like button on mine. Okay, so this is dope. You got Caleb Plant, got an upcoming fight. Relive Errol Spence. Okay, what is that? They got the fight? Hold on. I'm gonna have to browse around in here. David Morrell, he looked good in his last fight. What the hell? Hold on. What, they got the whole fight? Hey, I gotta check this out. Okay. We got some action. But Errol Spence obviously seen this, and he posted on his story the same clip. It said the most favorited, number 1. So Errol Spence has since seen this, took to his social media and posted that. And he said, "I'm the big fish, man down." So Errol Spence about what he said he about. Now, the downside to this video, I got to talk about everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The bad is, I told you so. Errol Spence is super popular. So the argument that Terrence Crawford, who is a name that people are trying to link with Errol Spence Jr., is the A side. The data doesn't support that at all. Errol Spence Jr., he recently posted that nobody on PBC is making more money than him, and rightfully so. You know, he said except for Wilder. Let me correct that. He said nobody on PBC outside of Wilder making more than him, right? So rightfully so. He's doing numbers. And this is not just a matter of opinion. You have Fox app is telling you, hey, this is the most favorited guy we got on our app. And you've seen the other big names like Leo Santa Cruz, Manny Pacquiao, and other people that were on the list. And Errol Spence is obviously generating the most traffic. You know, you could say, oh, it's because it's accident. But listen, that's part of his journey. It don't matter why they're clicking, you know. As a result, they're clicking. And that's what matters. So this is just further proof of what I've been telling you guys. Terrence Crawford, great fighter, but he's definitely losing the battle of PR. He's losing the battle of popularity. He's losing the battle of A-sideness. And, you know, all these things factor in. How can you tell Errol Spence anything when he's outselling Canelo in terms of pure attendance? This fight you see on the screen with Danny Swift Garcia, there was a reported in Jerry's World 16,000 plus in Texas to come see the Errol Spence show. The Canelo show that happened after, a couple weeks after this fight, had Caleb Smith. The announced attendance from Eddie Hearn was 10,000. So Errol Spence really is big fish. He really is big fish. Now, I'm not saying he's the A side over Canelo if they were to fight. First of all, I don't even think they'll fight, but because they're too far apart in weight, you know. So I think it's kind of just promotion. You're gonna have to show me that. But then that's just really because of Canelo's overall, the totality of his career. You know, the power of he's done million plus and stuff like that, and the longevity Canelo has had. But people around Errol Spence's size, he has to be the big fish. You know, 147 predominantly the division he fights out of. He got to be the big fish because the numbers are showing you that. This is not like, people have a difficult time in this world of boxing accepting the truth, and they have a difficult time separating their personal feelings and connections and relationships and overall just emotion and emotional attachments to certain fighters or certain brands, and separate that from the realities that we see. You know what I mean? And we see this with the Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence fight. Everything I'm saying in my video, I believe. And the thing is this, feel who you want is going to win the actual fight. That's fine. You could say Terrence Crawford beats Errol. You could say Errol will beat Terrence Crawford. I don't care about that. This is not a fight prediction. Everybody's entitled to their opinion in that regard, because until they fight, it's all speculation. The stuff that I'm talking about, like Jay-Z said, listen to speculation. I'm talking to all of y'all. This ain't speculation. 16,000 in the attendance, that's not me speculating and, you know, looking at a videotape and guesstimating how many people are in the audience. That's the number that was reported that wasn't challenged by anybody. Nobody challenged and said, oh, I was there and it was empty. You know what I'm saying? So that's great numbers in the social distancing era where you can only have certain amount of people. Imagine the Danny Garcia Errol fight if the Rona wasn't a thing, you know, and you didn't have to social distance. So it just goes to show you the man is a star. Fox app, they're telling you he's a star. They saying, hey, this is the number one guy, number one favorited and searched guy, beating people like Deontay Wilder, you know, at the point of us putting this. And they made a graphic, so they made this an effort to show people this overall, you know, graphic of where everybody's stands. And, you know, shout out to all 10 people on here. It just goes to show you all these guys, all these gentlemen have massive brands that are continuing to grow and continuing to build. And that's just the case. So as far as the Terrence Crawford angle, it's just, you know, you look at, let's say ESPN, if ESPN did an equivalent one of these, we don't know if Terrence Crawford last year would have been the #1 search person on ESPN Plus. And if you're factoring in everything on ESPN Plus, then I know it's not the case, because you would have to imagine guys like Conor McGregor would beat a guy like Terrence Crawford or most boxers. But even if you stick to just boxing only and don't, you know, you're not doing like a cross comparison on the platform, you know, we don't know. Tyson Fury, Lomachenko, Teofimo, they could have potentially, Lomachenko, Teofimo was a bigger fight for Top Rank and for ESPN with better viewership than Kell Brook versus Terrence Crawford. And that was his only fight last year. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what Crawford's next move is. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. Errol Spence is money. You know, he's a big ticket item. And I'm proud of him just because he fought to get here. He was once the boogeyman and calling everybody out. And they're like, nah, you too young. You wet behind the ears. You too green. Go do something. Go get a belt. And they fronted him off. And now the man did what he was supposed to do and did what people knew he could do. And now he holds the cards. And that's just the way of the world, you know? You fronted this man off. That's why he's doing that to Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman cutting his hair and going through like metamorphoses. He's going through these little cocoons and stuff like that, playing the flute, turning from a caterpillar to a butterfly and all that, cutting his hair. And now he has to reach out and hope Errol Spence picks him. But at one point, Errol Spence was the man hoping that Keith, you better not duck me, son, would pick him. So it's just funny how that works. Like Errol say, Typo's turn. Man, now, let me know how I did in this video. Errol, again, proves to be big business. Also, shout out to Derek James, his trainer. Great duo, great tandem in boxing. He got the WBA Trainer of the Year. You know, I'm not even going to spend too much time. I've already talked about it, but Eddie Reynoso, he's also a great trainer. But what did he do last year that surpasses 2 unified champions in difficult fights? You know, Jason Rosario versus Charlo. Not only was it on paper a difficult fight, it looked like a difficult fight. Rosario, he got hurt and dropped a couple times, but he looked extremely focused. He looked bigger than Charlo, and Charlo stopped him. And then, goes without saying, Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia was a challenging fight on paper, and then Errol Spence blew through it and made Danny Garcia look worse. His face was beat up worse than we've seen. Derek James, absolutely the 2020 Trainer of the Year. Now, I know it's a black man in America, and for that, the racists and the bigots, you know, they're going to have a hard time anointing him. But it is what it is. Fair is fair. And I think the man that has 2 unified champions, Canelo fought 1 time, and he fought against a guy with a 4-week training camp. Danny Garcia didn't have no 4-week training camp. And Danny Garcia has done more in his career than Callum Smith. So, and Callum Smith, you know, on top of a 4-week training camp and all that, Canelo Alvarez, he ain't coming from no accident like Errol Spence. And again, I'm not blaming Canelo for not getting in an accident, but you have to factor in what happened. Errol Spence came from everything and put on that performance. Canelo, nothing was wrong with him. There was no questions how he would look in the fight unless he was ring rusty. There weren't questions about his chin, would it hold up, because he didn't go through no heinous accident. Let me know how I did in this video. Use my link, get ESPN or ESPN Plus pay-per-view. UFC 257, Conor McGregor is almost up. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We work. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.